Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Haqiqoli Fauzi, and I'm here to explain about language and linguistics. The first is, what is a language? Language is commonly defined simply as a means of communication, but if it is defined so, there will be no difference between human communication and animals' communication. The reason is because both animal and human do have means to communicate. To be more scientific, a language can be defined as an arbitrary system of creative vocal symbols used as a means of communication among human beings. Let us see what is meant by arbitrary system, vocal symbol, creative, and means of communication as the human characteristic or properties of human language. The first is, language is arbitrary. A language is arbitrary because the relationship between a vocal symbol in form, in the sense of linguistic, and the entity, state, event, or action, meaning of the vocal symbols cannot be provided logically. For example, the question of why the following entity is called birds in English and not monkey or money, for instance, cannot be answered. And second is, language is vocal symbol. Considering a language as a construction of vocal symbols, we actually want to distinguish oral from written language. A language is originally oral or spoken vocal symbols. In the other words, we can say that spoken language is the origin of a language. See this fact. Children grow up learning and speaking a language before learning to write. Even in this modern age, some people still cannot write, but they can communicate with a language. On the other hand, written or written, language is the best taught as a written representation of a language. One of the difference in characteristic between oral and written language is that written language tends to be perspective. The language ought to be oral, spoken language is not perspective. The third is, language is creative. No matter how well a dictionary of a language is designed and written, it will never contain all possible sentences that a human being, the speaker of a language, can make and use for communication. Once we speak a language, say our mother or native language, the component and rules of the language enable us to create infinite number or unlimited numbers of sentences. It enables us to put words together to make phrases, put phrases together to make sentence, and so forth. As illustration, the same word can be employed in so many different infinite numbers of sentences, as simply with the following phrase. This is example. 1. I eat rice, you eat bread. 2. The goats eat bread and cheese. Have you ever created or heard this possible sentence before? 3. They eat grass. 4. I eat rice, you eat bread. The goats eat cheese, they eat grass. Blah blah blah, eat blah blah blah. Blah blah blah, eat, and so on. How many times can you repeat the word eat in the last sentence? How long can you make the sentence? The answer is, it is infinite. Indeed, we create and hear a new sentence in our language all the time in our everyday communication. Even we may have created and heard a sentence that had never been spoken or heard before, but we did not realize it. This is because a language is creative. The fourth is language is a means of communication. Language is only one among another means of communication, but it is the most perfect means of communication processed by human beings. The use of language as a means of communication is what distinguishes animal communication from the communication among human beings. So that's all. Wassalamualaikum.